So questions, do we have questions? Up north?
Yes, sir.
I expected that one. Senator Dondola, please.
Well, I'm going to push the kudos right back because you do the hard work. And so we thank you for doing all that with our kids as we've been in this most unusual time. And we face the same thing we just had this same discussion with the teachers, right? Not enough, large loads. How do we keep people? How do we get people into the profession? So I look forward to working with you more. And thank you for all you're doing, and give our best to Kristen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. Anyone else up there? In Carson?
Yes, Chair, it's Assemblywoman Hanson, if I could, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for being here. I found the presentation very enlightening and also worrisome in the sense that I know that you're overburdened. I was looking at the comparisons just to get myself up to speed. I have a daughter who she's a licensed mental health professional with a private practice, and so I was trying to remember my school counselor versus school psychologist to understand, because I noticed to be a school counselor, you have to have a master's. To be a school psychologist, a master's, and of course there's some other things in there. And again, I'll get myself in trouble. I'm thinking out loud, and that can be dangerous. But I'm trying to think outside the box. If we've got a shortage of school counselors, is there some way? I know with my daughter's master's program, the clinical hours are just extremely burdensome. They're very, very heavy. And so are we having a shortage because, and I don't want to detract from the quality of our school counselors, but is that kind of a stumbling block that there's such a requirement in these master's programs that it's harder to get? Is that what's causing us to have difficulty in the pipeline?
Keely Killian for the record. Thank you for the question. I think it could be many things. We have educators, teachers who want to get a master's in school counseling, and it makes it really hard to work and then try to go through a master's program at like a traditional university. They don't have the same flexibility as some of the online programs. And then you have to do all of those hours additionally. So it can be very challenging to get all of that done. And just the length of some of the programs, we do push potential school counseling candidates towards accredited programs because we want to make sure that they are prepared and that they meet the requirements for licensing. Some of the things that we have talked about, Kristen and I and other members of NVSCA, is looking at alternative routes where, is it possible for, counselors to start without having some of those classes and do provisional licensing, right? Where we can get them in and put them with supportive teams. We would never put them in a situation where they're alone, and then they work towards some of those other requirements. I think we are working on some things with licensing through the Department of Education now for interns to get in and start working and like getting paid again with some of the supportive teams. But it is a long haul to get some of these degrees and the amount of hours and the kind of hours that you need. And so, yes, I think it is challenging and it may turn some potential candidates away for all of the professions, school mental health professions.
Well, thank you for that.
And this is not new, a shortage. Yeah, thank you.
And I'm glad to hear certainly that you're way ahead of my thought process, is that you guys are working on this to find some creative ways maybe to enhance, especially teachers that want to do this, for them to get some sort of credit for the experience they have been with students. And anyway, thank you. That gives me some hope that you're certainly working hard, as we've heard from Senator Dondero Loop, and appreciate your efforts. So thank you for that information.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes, Assemblywoman Thomas.
And thank you, Chair Dennis. And thank you for the presentation. Really, very impressed with the information that you shared with us. Actually, I don't really have a question, but I was hoping to get your feedback on presenting this committee with the solutions. You know, because it's always great to hear what the problem is, but to get written down solutions, what you think and what your colleagues believe that could be the answer to some of these trying times, especially, you know, the double duty and triple duties that you're actually doing, and how to create a pipeline. If it's using those teachers that want to advance into counseling, that would be great. But I would love to see that in written form so that, you know, when we talk about it, we can go back to it, if that's possible.
Haley Killian for the record. Thank you so much for that information. I think we can come up with some information or proposals that would still help to increase workforce and turn out really high quality candidates for school counseling. You have to be prepared to work in this job. So I'd be happy to work with NVSCA and my colleagues because we have been having these conversations, and there are states and districts around the country who have been working on these things. And so we are not alone. We have a really large support group, especially with the American School Counseling Association, where we might be able to come up with some information that is helpful to the committee.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. We will go on to our last item on the agenda, well, second to last item, which is public comment. I mentioned earlier that we would have additional public comment. Just want to, as a reminder, we are limiting public comment to 3 minutes per person, and there's various ways that you can also submit public comment. So do we have anyone here in Las Vegas wishing to give public comment? You do, please come forward. Not seeing anyone coming forward here. How about in Carson City? Do we have anyone coming forward up there?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. BPS, do we have anybody online?
Thank you, Chair Dennis. The public line is open and working. However, there are no callers at this time.
Okay, I think I want to wait just a minute because I think there's a 30-second delay or whatever it is, and since we didn't have comment for them to be able to call in, let's be on hold for just a minute.
Thank you, Chair. Broadcast standing by.
Okay, BPS, do we have anyone?
Thank you, Chair Dennis. The public line is still open and working. However, we have no callers at this time.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and close public comment at this time. And just a couple of closing remarks. I appreciate all the folks that presented today, and we got some really good information. We've gotten some amazing information in all the different presentations that we've had so far this year. An archived version of today's meeting will be available online. And I would like to remind all of you that the work of the session for the committee, that the work session for this committee currently scheduled August 17th. We might need to adjust that, but right now we're scheduled for August 17th. And we are still asking, though, any recommendations for committee action be submitted in writing no later than Thursday, June 30th. And please see the solicitation of recommendations that is posted on the committee's webpage for detailed information about submitting those recommendations. So we do want to hear from you. We've had a lot of different presentations and want to make sure that that if you do have a request of this committee, that we can take that up in our that we could consider for taking up in our meeting at the work session in August. So right now, our next meeting has been rescheduled, and it's going to be on Friday, July 29th. And we needed to make a change. There's a lot of things going on in July, so our next meeting will be July 29th. With that, I have no further items to come before us at this time, so we are adjourned.